How many shrimp do you have to eat before you make your skin turn pink? Eat too much and you'll get sick. Jolokim's really rich.
CallanLoF with another episode of Mock Talks. 5 years later, here I am with Ganon, the new model for IDS's birthday once again. 5 years of difference. This was the model 5 years ago. You can watch that video for more of the backstory with the model. I made it around that time, partially due to finally getting this mask for the first time. And now I have three of them for three different little IDS models that I've used in these stream highlights I've been doing. I'll talk about a bit of the backstory. Why did I make this mock to begin with, when this one was perfectly adequate and I started making the highlights with him? Well, IDS was not particularly pleased with this model, for one thing. He expressed mild distaste for it. He did not hate it, but the creation of this model, I think I mentioned in the other video that I used a torso design my brother came up with for an old mock named Psychen, using the Bionicle. So the concept of the torso was for like a buffer character, and I just thought that that would work well. Something simple, just a self-mock for IDS, just to have as a little character, since I have all my other friends as little Matoran self-mocks, and that felt appropriate at the time. But it was essentially a reused model. His legs are literally just limbs. He has no knees. I'm overall fan of the color distribution, but there were limitations to the posability of the figure, for one thing, in terms of animating. Every time you move, his arms, both arms would move. So, and sometimes when you move his head, this piece on the front would wiggle. So animation was already a slight annoyance with this model, and it just made sense to try and do something that's a little fresher to update IDS and make it, for one thing, a little more recognizable as Ganon, his original figure, which I always really liked. And I'll flash a picture right here. It's one of the most iconic mocks from that era of 2011, 10-ish. I wanted to pay better tribute to it for real this time, as opposed to just slapping his mask on a design that I was overall pleased with, but isn't exactly truest to him. So I decided to redesign his torso and try and kind of emulate some of the style. Like, there were limitations, but I wanted to work around this piece as a chest piece, since it was one of the orange pieces I had that I thought would be most appropriate on this scale, and I think it worked out okay. Unfortunately for my purposes, this mock is not very purist in a few capacities. There's a part of the interior that has a broken axle, I believe, a cut down 2-length axle, in order to properly get his neck in here, because part of the problem I faced with this design was the neck connection. If you put a neck piece here, the head is a little bit high. If you try and do some other head connection, it was coming across a little low. Get out of here, you stupid bug. I just literally killed a bug on camera. Fun. Let's keep going. The neck was a bit of a problem, and it took a lot of tries. The legs also weren't the limbs are actually probably the easiest part in the end, because I ended up emulating IDS's also not purist concept introduced on his Jevic figure, of putting a tape on axles so that he has bendable knees that connect and look smooth like that. And it works pretty well, I would say, overall. It's definitely a solid choice for lots of animation, but you do have to put the tape on a little thick, otherwise it loses balance and he falls over. If the tape is too thin, then the balance will fall off, and I applied him pretty well on this guy, I'd say so. So only one of the arms, or a little looser on the arms, so that the arms have a little more freedom. And overall, that has provided a lot more posability. He retains the posability of his arms, but with the other nice thing about these arms, or rather these joints, is that they're a little easier to move for animation. But that can also be a bad thing, considering they're also his knees. So if you've noticed that he's very moving back and forth in a lot of animations. Yeah, that's because his knees move, and I might as well go with the flow of the animation. That's pretty much it as far as those techniques involved. But yeah, his torso is a little complicated in there, not purist at all. And look, his neck piece, I literally used a broken version of one of these 2004 pieces that ends one of these pieces for his legs. You have a broken one right there so that it connects properly, and it actually worked out well because it doesn't have to balance much, so his head actually stays on well enough, and it's loose enough for lots of articulation. So yeah, that's all the model's review itself, I'd say. The fingers are pretty standard. I'm sure you've seen them done a lot. But yeah, it was nice to give him fingers to distinguish himself. At the time, Callan was the only one who had fingers of the three. I would then, of course, eventually update the Larnu model, so he also has fingers. Now Callan has the fewest fingers of the crew, having 4. He has 6, and Larnu has 8. So, wow, I gave everyone more fingers as it went along. So yeah, that's my review of the figure. I figured it would just be fun throughout the whole thing to have the 3 models, because this, of course, is the little child version. That was just a slap job, just so that I could have a shorter one for him as a kid. And yes, there's a whole other Mock Talks for more information on that one. I am doing this video for my good friend's birthday again. As I said, 5 years ago I did the review on this one. That is really cool, isn't it? It's really, really exciting. Here's some other size comparisons. Here is Callan there. And here is Larnu. I'm going to get rid of these guys so that we can have the real highlights crew. And what the heck, why not? Alex is here. I'll throw a little Empire in there as well. Or maybe I should put him on the other side. Get rid of the little midget. So yeah, we got 4 of them there. I'd put his brother, but Larnu's brother Kai as well, but I don't have him on standby, sorry. I literally did a gag video on him being rebuilt because I was working on part of it on stream. I will link that video here as well at the end. And hopefully you've enjoyed the appearance of this version and all the highlights. I can tell you that he is easier to animate, though. Another element that is also been the same as this one is that the arms are connected. It's a thing, so every time you move one arm, the other shifts as well. So I got to be kind of careful with that. Maybe I need to be a better designer, I guess. But there's only so much you can do with these bonks. Give me a break. Give me a break. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will have more highlights coming soon. I would like to do more animations of other sorts as well, like Mata again, but at this point, with a lot of business going on in my life, these are the most efficient things, the most inspired things I'm able to do right now, so I hope you guys can appreciate that. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Happy birthday to IDS5621. Ganon is a cool character, and I will continue to make videos with him. Yeah!